3 years, God knows how many appeals, and bureaucrats losing our documents over and over again. I'm completely done with this place. I cannot wait to leave. And probably there will be people in the comments saying, well, we can't wait for you to leave either. And to that I say, well, oh well. But basically, Polish bureaucracy is quite a beast. We'll put it this way. So multiple years ago in April of 2023, we applied under a business visa to live here. Now my wife is from Ukraine and we do have the Ukrainian status, but we actually wanted to go a different way. We did not want to just be another person or another family like fleeing a war. And obviously we should have just stayed under that status, but we wanted to have some sort of ability for permanence here. And we were always concerned like, well, if the war just ended, then essentially we could just have to leave and we'd have to go back to Ukraine, which I have my doubts about. I wouldn't really want to be moving a young child back to an area that had been under so much turmoil with such a population that had gone through so much. So I think that's fairly understandable. So basically, like I said, we applied many years ago, attempted to get this visa, and it has just been honestly, it's one of the worst processes of my entire life. Like, I have nothing but regret. The whole system here is, Poland is really, I would say, on the up and coming. And if you go look around, it's like, oh, tech companies are coming here, we're building stuff, et cetera, but they have no path for people to legally get here with ease. And what I mean by this is that attempting to open this business, and unfortunately we live in Wrocław, which I've heard is probably the worst city in all of Poland to do this, but it is what it is. This is where we chose to live. And essentially, they have lost these documents so many times. So we finally got this appeal yesterday or a couple days ago, and it just says like, you didn't provide a lease from where you stayed since 2024, even though we had a lease from 2023 to 2024, and then we extended it and we provided that extension, and then we extended it again in 2025 indefinitely, and we provided that again. And I must have sent these documents like 3 times. And admittedly, they lost the documents once. They lost it. They changed the case officer. So I don't know what they do in this hall where they, supposedly process these applications. But essentially, they lost the documents multiple times. In addition, they also said that, the business plan was in English. And I literally have the business plan in Polish written, and it's timestamped 2023. So they lost those again. I don't know. But essentially, here's the real issue. The real issue is that I don't want to say that like this part, so it's the same problem in a lot of places. Same problem in like Czech Republic. It's really hard to actually go and get a visa. Same thing with like Budapest, Slovakia. A lot of the Central Eastern European countries, it is very difficult to actually immigrate. Whereas if you look more towards like the West and like Spain and Portugal, they all have like a retirement visa or digital nomad visa or some sort of a path for you to actually be able to stay and to get your application processed reasonably quickly. And Estonia has one. They have like the Estonian e-visa. Tallinn is in Estonia. So but the problem with all these Central Eastern European countries is like their birth rate is in the toilet. So they are anti-immigration. I do understand that. Like, they don't want a bunch of people coming in from wherever and milking off the system and getting free health insurance and whatever else. And I do understand. I totally get that. But at the same time, do you want to, you can't say like, we want foreign investors, we want foreign companies, we want people to build here, while simultaneously not giving them an option to actually be able to do so. And what I mean by this is that I had every intention of opening this company and actually potentially employing some people here and kind of starting a more local division of my staffing firm and basically working hand in hand with the global entity. And the reality is, how can I possibly justify putting a bunch of money into this Polish company where it will get locked up and it will get stuck? I mean, it's going to be my wife, and I'm probably going to end up being my wife, to be honest, but it's going to be a horrible process to get our car out of this company, to sell the company or wind it. That's going to be a miserable process, probably going to take 3 to 6 months. So how can you sit here and say like, you need to be, adding revenue to this company while simultaneously we aren't going to grant you the permit to know if you can actually stay here? It just makes no sense. It's like, invest in the company, hire people here, put lots of money in, have a plan, do all this, do all that. But by the way, we're going to take 3 years to approve your residence permit, going to put you through hell and back to actually just apply. And at the end of the day, just deny it. So it's like, it's this catch-22. And You know, I'm not a citizen of this country. They have every right to say, no, you can't stay here on this visa. Like, totally fine. But you can't say, like, we want people, we want investment, we want you to start this company, but by the way, you should put $100,000+ into this, while, you know, we might just say, oh, you have 30 days to leave the country. And that's potentially the situation we're in right now. And, you know, to top it off, the letter was sent on April 28th. Today is the 8th of May, and we just got the news 2 days ago. So they sent it the week of a holiday on a Wednesday, I think. And then, of course, it didn't get to our lawyer's office until a Tuesday the next week. So basically, effectively already burned 7 of our 30 days to potentially leave the country. So we'll see how this goes. If you watch some of the other recent videos, we're out of here anyway. That's part of the reason we applied for the visa in Portugal, was because we kind of felt like this was going absolutely nowhere. But 3 years, $25,000. No, I'm not joking about that either. Like, between all of the stuff, all the accounting fees, all the lawyer fees, you know, running money through this company, all of it, at least $25,000 just burned down the tube for, you know, basically a negative result. And it is what it is. So that is why I would never recommend anyone ever open a company in Poland if you're a foreigner. You know, if you live here and you're a local, like, by all means, it is, you know, it's bureaucratic. I think it's the way they make you have all these special registrations, a VAT, a NIP, a Regan number, all this stuff. I think it's insane. If your company is remote in any way, you'd be far better off just opening a US LLC remotely. Americans owning a company here will put you where you have to file, because it's not an LLC, it's a corporation, which means that you are a shareholder or a president or a manager or whatever, director in a foreign corporation, which puts you into all these new forms you have to have for the IRS. It's a pain in the ass. Like, just to file the Polish crap here with the US properly costs me $3,000 a year. So in a nutshell, I do not recommend anyone moves to Poland or opens a business in Poland if you are a foreigner.